particularly on the defensive end. So big point emphasis been, can we get better on defense? We individually, we need guys to get better. As a team, we need to get better. Like we've got a long ways to go on the defensive end. And we've been trying to make that point with our guys since the end of the game Friday night. So, but it'll be good to get back out there and play again Tuesday.
On the right here with Charlie.
Yeah, Coach, after the game, you mentioned missing Bediako and needing some rim protection. Just where have you seen a guy like Nick Pringle improve in that regard?
You know what? Nick doesn't have a block shot yet on the season, so he hasn't improved as much as I'd like to see improve. That's a big challenge that we've made to him, just because if he's going to be a rim protector, you need to block some shots to rim. So we need him to get better. Mo Wage's, I think, one of the best in the country so far. He's at an 18% block rate. He has protected the rim a little bit. We need to get Nick doing it a little bit better. I think Nick's more than capable of it. He's athletic. He's just got to go challenge some shots. I mean, we had some switches in the game Friday night with a guard driving him. He's got to get off his feet and block a shot. But that's been a point of emphasis, is we got to get better rim protection. We got to give up fewer blow-bys. Our pick and roll defense has to get better. We're getting driven downhill. We're kind of in our drop, that we kind of played with Charles last year, that kind of pushed teams down to Charles, and nobody scored it very well on Charles at the rim, and they're getting downhill on us and scoring on us now. So that's actually been a big point of emphasis that we got to get a lot better at.
Yeah, Grant Nelson through 2 games. I mean, what is maybe – obviously you've seen him plenty in practice, but what has maybe surprised you about his game, or you didn't expect him to do this early?
You know what? He hasn't surprised us a ton because we've gotten to see it in practice all summer and fall. But I think maybe what he surprised some people that haven't seen him play all summer and fall is how well he handles it. He's able to handle it in pick and roll. He gets downhill. He can drive it. You can really play like a guard at 6'11", which is great. I think you saw in the first game, we kind of set some step up pick and rolls with a guard setting them. They don't switch. He gets downhill. He dunked on the one. So, putting him in pick and rolls as the handler has been good for us. He can see over it. I think he handled it in pick and rolls 11 times all of last season. I don't know how many he's handled in the first 2 games. My guess is close to 11 in 2 games, and probably need to do it even more, to be honest with you. So I think just him handling it, whether it's in space or in pick and rolls or whatever, he's pretty, he's also 100% at the free throw line. He's 14 of 14 at the free throw line, which it's nice when you're big that it's going to get fouled, because he attacks the rim so strong and goes so hard. He can step to the free throw line, make free throws like he's doing.
Coach, a little different question. Beginning of basketball season, but we're the heart of football season. You've been here a few years. How do you parlay a season like this for Alabama with your program to get exposure? I see you at the games. How do you kind of build with this program with football as well?
Yeah, I mean, the football program here is, in my opinion, the best football program in the country. I mean, you look at the last 16, 17 years since Coach Saban's taken over, they've done a better job than anybody in the country. So I was fortunate enough to walk into a situation where I can learn from best team sports program possibly in the country, for sure, in football, which I'm a big football fan. So how do we parlay it? Well, one is I personally learn from them as to what they're doing. 2 is, our players get to see them, we follow it. I mean, can't help but following it being here. It's what everybody talks about. So, how does a guy like Jalen Milroe handle some adversity? I think he's done pretty well. I don't know him personally. I get to watch from the outside a little bit and see I think he's been unbelievable. How he didn't play particularly well. Shoot, he's playing as well as anybody in the country right now. So how do some of our guys, we come out in the first 2 games, maybe we don't play that well. Maybe a guy doesn't play as many minutes as he wants. We've got a little bit different situation in basketball. Football, 1 quarterback plays, and basketball, you can kind of have 2 guys at the same position play at the same time. You can if you choose, you can put 5 point guards out there if you want, so it's a little different, but some guys play fewer minutes than what they want, so how do you handle some adversity in the first 2 games? I think a kid like Jalen's showed us how to do that. How does a team handle some adversity? They lose early in the season to Texas, and how do you come back, bounce back, get better? Talk about the process. Like, we haven't played particularly well first 2 games on defense. How do we, continue day by day, getting better at things we got to work at? So we even before I got here, I've got a practice plan, and we've got, it's an Excel sheet, and there's tabs at the bottom, and one of the tabs, it's different drills. One of the tabs is quotes, just a bunch of general quotes. Got a quote of the day, but I had a separate tab that said Saban quotes. That was all the way back to when I was at Romulus as a high school coach. I had Saban quotes, and then so we still pull out some Saban quotes around here. They're a little more applicable maybe here, since I get to hear them on the regular for the most part. But we definitely learn as coaches. We learn. We go to their fall camp when the speakers are here, get to hear them, and then we pay attention to what's going on over there pretty well.
You mentioned after the game that Rylan hasn't really broken out right yet. Just what does he have to do? What is he working on to get there?
You know what? Offensively, I think Rylan's just got to keep letting the game come to him. He's really talented shooter. I think he's going to have a breakout game. I'm convinced of it. I see him, what he does in practice. He can really make shots as well as Mark and Aaron and Grant are playing. Teams are going to have to load up on those 3. I mean, I think we're maybe the only SEC team that has 2 guys averaging 20 points, and Sears is right there. So we could easily have 3 guys averaging 20 points or more. And teams are going to really concentrate on those 3 guys. Well, get a guy that shoots as well as Rylan does. He can have an explosion in a hurry. And we saw it last year. He had some good offensive games. I think sometimes with him, it's how teams choose to guard us. If they're going to stay locked onto him on the perimeter and open up huge driving gaps for those other 3 guys, it helps them because you got a shooter on the floor. If they're going to choose to try to cut those guys' water off and really load up in the gaps heavy, and Rylan gets some open 3s. You saw the kick down 3 he got. You could end up with 3 or 4 of those. I think he could do a little bit better job maybe on the offensive glass, getting some easy buckets, getting out in transition a little harder, getting some easy buckets in transition. But he's been great on defense, like really good. He did an unbelievable job on Swope in the second half, kind of reminiscent to what he had done with Wendell Green last year at Auburn. So really trying to sell him on being one of the best perimeter defenders in the country, and I think he's capable of doing that.
You talked a lot in your opening about defense and have to play better as a team and individually. Do you feel like after the last game, the message is really sinking in with some guys that if you don't guard, you're not going to play?
Yeah, they didn't play, as nearly as many minutes as they wanted to. So, we planned on playing a deeper rotation in some of these bye games, but I'm not, Indiana State, they were a tough team. They were right with us for a majority of the game. We had to play who we had to play to win the game. And, we were not playing great on defense. Some guys' defensive leverage numbers weren't great. So I think sometimes, especially with young men this age, that they've just always played. You look at some of our freshmen. Sam Walters, by far and away the best player on his high school team. It didn't matter how bad he was on defense. He was going to stay in the game. Like, they needed him to stay in the game. Davin Cosby, super talented on offense, probably majority of his career. It didn't matter how hard he played on defense. He's going to stay in. They needed him on offense. Well, that's not the case anymore. These guys are not going to just stay in the game because they're that much better on offense. We've got a lot of good offensive options. So you've got to bring it on the defensive end in order to play. And I think they're seeing that. And I think some guys are locked in. I mean, we've got guys staying after practice with Coach Pannone trying to get better on defense. A lot of guys stay after practice to shoot jumpers, shoot free throws, make sure guys are staying after yesterday's practice, today's practice, working on pick and roll coverages, working like guys want to get better. They're going to figure out how to get better, and guys that want to make excuses will make excuses and not get better. And I think we got a lot of guys that are trying to stay after and get better now.
As a follow up on the defense, how do you weigh kind of a new kid coming in, learning the system, and making those effort plays that are just just going to be needed to get those minutes throughout the non-conference?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of different numbers we look at. We're big in analytics. So first one you look at's blue collar points. Like, are you getting deflections, making hustle plays, playing hard? We chart that in game all the time. You get to the end of the games and you look at like their defensive leverage numbers. Are we better with you on the floor on the defensive end versus when you're off the floor? So, and then individually there's, are they giving up blow bys? Are our bigs blocking shots at the rim? Are they impacting, our defense in ways like that they can that way? I just, there's lots of different things we're looking at. And obviously you just watch the film and see if you're in the right spot, not in the right spot, different things like that. We chart every box out. Are they boxing out every time? What are their defensive rebounding percentage numbers? So, the different guys will be able to impact, a guy like Pringle or Jaron Stevenson, Grant, Moa-Gay, like, are they blocking shots? Are they giving us rim protection? Guys like Davin, Rylan, Sam Walters, are you getting beat off the dribble? What are your blow-by numbers? And then everybody's got a defensive leverage number. Were we better or worse with you in the game on the defensive end? So that's some of the stuff we're looking at.
Yeah, he's missed the first 2 games. Are you expecting Chris Parker to be back for tomorrow night?
You know what? We're in the process of talking about possibly redshirting Chris. Just get stronger, get better at some things. I think he's got a chance to be really good. I just, we're in the process of that. He had the injury. He's healed from the injury. He's practicing, but we're in the process of talking through that right now.
Coach, I want to ask you this, not just as the head coach at Alabama, but as an ACA dad. Do you ever get any kind of brushback or blowback from people upset that you schedule Friday home games while football's still going on in high school?
No. I mean, we could schedule them on Saturday to compete with the Alabama football team. If I don't think that would go as well either. I mean, it's hard scheduling. Monday's the first day you could play a game, so a lot of teams tried to play Monday just to open the season as early, because your practices start 30 days before that, so you get the Monday. So, you could have played Monday, Thursday, possibly. I think once college football is over, it's a lot easier to schedule Saturday games. So early in November, yeah, I'm with you. I like to watch high school football. I've been to a lot of ACA games as my daughters go there, but we got to schedule when we can schedule them. And a lot of teams, playing Friday. You look, there's college basketball's got a pretty full slate of games on Friday nights while college football is still going on. I don't, media wise, TV coverage wise, just fan base wise, I don't think it's all that smart to compete with college football, while college football is still going on here in November. So, once football's over or the regular season's over in a few weeks, I think you'll see a lot more Saturday games, but that's kind of the reality of having some overlap between the two sports.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate you guys.
How's everybody today? Good. All right, obviously, this was a, great win for us, really good for our team, to, come out, start fast in the game, play fast, obviously ready to play. So I think the big point of emphasis that, like we'd like to make moving forward is we still got to stay focused on execution. It's not just about making plays. And most of the issues that we have in games, offense, defense, doesn't really matter, come down to, are we communicating and is everybody on the same page? And when we do that, we seem to have really good results. And sometimes when we don't, we give up plays that we probably shouldn't, give up. So, that's going to be the big point of emphasis in watching the film today with the players, is to get them to really sort of focus on the importance of communicating and everybody being on the same page, whether it's who we're blocking up front, how we're covering and adjusting the motions, in secondary, whatever, so that we get on the same page. Chattanooga obviously has had a really good season. The players, play hard to compete well. Rusty Wright has done, a really good job there. I think they're like second in their league, 7-3, only lost 2 games in their league. So one of the most productive offensive teams. They've got a good quarterback. They've got good receivers. They run the ball with good balance. They're really well coached. Defensively, this guy Jay Pearson is, got lots of sacks and lots of tackles for losses. And these guys play hard. And like always, this is a great opportunity for these guys to play, in a game that they probably dream about. For our team, this is either a game that you focus on correctly, you go out and practice and prepare correctly, and you build on, the momentum that you've improved with over the last weeks. And that helps you get better for what's coming up in the future. So if you don't do that, you don't have a good showing. You sort of lose your rhythm. And, rhythm is a little bit like momentum. Sometimes you lose momentum in the game, it's hard to get it back. So you got to always play the next play and keep answering the bell. And, that's really kind of how we need to approach, this game in terms of, what our focus is and how we want to continue to improve as a team. If you're going to peak at the right time, you can't have peaks and valleys. You got to keep going in the right direction. And that's what we want to get our players to focus on this week in practice in preparation for this game.
Start up front with Dick.
Yeah, Terrion mentioned that every team could use a Miss Terry, and she's helped with motivating and just staying locked in. I mean, how does she help the team during the season in terms of what she does to motivate players?
Well, her and Terrion are really kind of buddies. So I know she sort of texts with him and all that. And, I kind of get on him. So it's just like kind of raising your children. I'm the guy that's always trying to get them to do right. And she's the mama who's always trying to make them happy. So that's the way it's been for a long time.
Hey, Coach. A guy like Chris Braswell seemed to steadily improve over the course of his career. Where have you seen him grow the most since he got on campus?
Braz is a really good competitor, hard worker, really works hard in practice to get it right. I think a lot of guys that play outside backer for us, when they come here, they don't have a lot of background and experience in standing up and playing. A lot of them play with their hand in the dirt, in high school. So the whole idea of standing up and playing, dropping some, how do you rush off the edge, when you're standing up rather than down in a 3-point stance. So, and I also think that opens up a whole panorama of knowledge of the game, coverages and things like that. So, and I would say that Braz has certainly improved physically because of how committed he is to being a good player. But I think from a mental standpoint, that's where he's really sort of has a much, much better understanding of all the things you need to do to play that position.
Middle with Matt.
After looking at the tape, what do you think of how your offensive line played against Kentucky?
They played really well. I think Kentucky's big up front. We talked about trying to be the most physical team. I think they did a good job of that. I think we ran the ball better in the second half than in the first. And some of that was just how were they playing. But I was really pleased, especially in the second half, with how we controlled the line of scrimmage. I think for the most part, the pass protection was a little better. And we want to continue to improve in all those areas.
Hey, Coach. Can you talk about the gauntlet of this SEC schedule? You guys are 7-0 up to this point, and then kind of a follow-up. How have you seen this team transform from week 2 up to this point in time?
Yeah, well, we talked about a lot how this team has been able to show great resiliency and perseverance to, really stick with it. They want to be good, so they want to be coached. They've stayed focused on what we need to do to continue to get better. And I think by doing that, the confidence has built, the respect and trust is built, which helps confidence. And I think, we got a lot of guys that are playing really good football now. So, and we had a lot of guys that really stepped up in this last game and played well, like a receiver. I mean, we had 2 receivers out. These guys played really, really well. I mean, the receiver group. In fact, I think you probably got that. We took the whole group and said, you guys are the players of the game. We had a couple guys that had to step up on defense with some starters missing. So, but it just seems like whether it's been on special teams or however it's been, every guy's kind of all in to try and do what they can do to help the team. And the leadership has been good. And the transformation has shown in terms of, how we've been able to execute and play week in and week out.
Chase.
You mentioned on your radio show a couple of weeks ago that Braswell is a good leader in his own quiet way. Besides Chris, who are a couple of guys who lead well by example, but maybe aren't necessarily vocal about it?
Right. Tim Keenan's a good leader up front. I think, Devontae Lawson is a really good leader at linebacker. Dallas is a good leader at outside backer. Malachi's a good leader, in the secondary. We have some guys at each position that, set a pretty good example in terms of how you need to prepare for a game, how you need to try to practice. And, Braz is one of those guys as well. And he's on the leadership because of the example that he sets and how he goes about what he does.
80 on the left. Oh, you're good. Okay. Tony right there. You have one? You did. Okay. Ryan, I thought they told me you had.
Coach, with senior day this week, what does it say in the world of the transfer portal and NIL, and especially a program like Alabama? If you don't play maybe your freshman year, a lot of guys want to leave. I'm not just talking about your program, but a lot of programs. What does it say about like a Chris Braswell or a Roy Dell that stuck through and really built value for themselves for the next level?
Well, I think there's a lot of examples of guys that have done that probably in a lot of programs, but, I'm just here to speak about our program. But, a guy like Mac Jones, who didn't play until his 4th year and played very well when he did and developed. So I think it speaks volumes of their commitment to the program and seeing that if they do the right things, they're going to have success. We've had guys here that, do very well in the pros, even though in the NFL, even though they've had maybe not a significant role their entire career here, but played well at some point in time. And that gave them an opportunity. I think that, one of the big things that we try to get guys to understand is we have good players on our team. So you're going to have a better chance to develop because the competition in practice is actually going to be beneficial to your development. And I think that if guys can stay focused on long-term in terms of what they're trying to develop and improve, we've had all these freshmen who want to play as freshmen. And we've had, I don't know, you can count them up. How many guys have gone out early for the draft? So if it's 45 guys, I don't know if that's the right number or not. I've had 32 phone calls times 45, whatever that number is, in the thousands, right? I've never been asked once how much a guy played as a freshman. Never. Not once. Everybody wants to know, what did you develop into? But yet, the whole mindset is, if I don't play right away, but that expectation gets created by a lot of external factors too. Not to put any of the blame on you all or anybody that says a guy's a 5-star and he should make this immediate impact and all this stuff. So that becomes the expectation. So when it doesn't happen, guys frustrated. I get that. I understand that. We got to try to get guys to be able to stay focused on what they have to do to develop as players, make improvement, so that when they do play, they create value for themselves rather than worrying about just playing. But if you go out there and you don't play well, what kind of value are you creating for yourself? And what kind of confidence are you building? So all these things are things that we really try to emphasize with our young players, and the guys that buy into that, they end up doing pretty well.
Finish up here with Mike.
You competed against both Jimbo and Zach Arnett this year. Just what was your reaction to the news of their firings?
I'm
Mississippi State's coach and Texas A&M reaction to those guys getting let
go. I don't ever like to see anybody get let go, whatever we want to call it, in this business. I know how hard everybody works. I know how difficult it is to sort of build, a program, to get players to compete at a high level on a consistent basis, and just have a lot of respect for people who really work hard to try to change the lives of, the guys that they're coaching, make them better people, help them do the right things in terms of getting an education, as well as trying to develop them on the football field. But, we are in a business that you get evaluated based on outcomes and your performance. And I hate to see anybody have to go through this. I've been fired before. It's no fun. It's no fun for your family. But I'm sure that both those guys have great reputations in terms of what they've been able to accomplish over the course of their career. And I'm sure they'll have many more opportunities to be successful in the future.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you.
All right, raise your hand for that. You got a question? Start with Tony.
So I saw the run the ball hats, and then you're having a fundraiser for. Can you talk a little bit about that and just what went into thinking about that fundraiser?
So I've always worn this hat, the RTDB hat. It's always just been my thing, and Coming up on the holiday season, I really wanted to do something to where we could help give back to the community. So we kind of had this project set up early on in the season, and I didn't really feel comfortable putting it out then. But then I was like, hey, it's holiday season. We already put all this work in, so let's do something good. So I've really enjoyed meeting with the West Alabama Food Bank people and setting that up. So we're selling these hats. All the proceeds for the holiday season go to West Alabama Food Bank, and I'm super excited.
I asked Coach this senior day happening on Saturday for someone that really worked through the program. What does that mean to kind of do your time instead of just starting right away and kind of paid off the hard work?
Yeah, it's flown by. I remember thinking back to high school about how fast those 4 years flew by, and as a senior, and then I got here and I was like, oh, this will be a little bit longer. The seasons are longer and the years are longer, it feels like. But man, as I look back and 4 years have almost come to an end, it's pretty crazy. Playing at Alabama has been an incredible blessing for me, and just personally and football wise, it's a lot of hard work's gone into it. It's the biggest blessing that I've ever had. And I'm just super thankful for Coach Saban believing in a little undersized 6'3", 260 center from Buford, Georgia, all those years ago. And coming as the lowest ranked recruit in the class, it's meant a lot for me to put the work in and show people that through hard work you can play here, and you can play at a high level. So
Sticking with that theme, just where are you at in your master's degree? And have you given any thought to maybe using an extra year of eligibility?
So I'm really just focused on the next 4 games. I don't really know what the future holds for me. But whatever we have left of this season, I'm going to give my all for. But right now I'm finishing up my master's degree in December. So I'll have that, my master's of sports hospitality management, and then my undergrad in finance. I'll have all that done in 4 years. So
Over the last couple weeks, month of the season, the offensive line has improved overall, but also the snapping issues that you're dealing with has kind of gone away. Did you change anything up with that, or kind of what led to that being sorted out?
So the things with the snap issues, I just ended up changing my grip, and it's been a more consistent thing for me. I went to the dead ball snap, so I think the inaccurate snaps have cleaned up a little bit. That's still a thing I'm still trying to work on. Just cleaning up the snaps in practice and in the game. It's starting to carry over. Just putting an emphasis on how important it is to get the ball in Milroe's hands, to let him go to work and do what he's so good at. But speaking about the offensive line, it's finally starting to come together, and it's we're starting to gel as a group and kind of do everything that we want to do at the beginning of the season. And through the work on the technique with Coach Wolford and just the way we're playing ball right now is it's really helped. Just the regular spiral snap.
Yeah, so I think you talk about your time developing here and getting the role you are now. 2 years ago, I think it was toward the end of the season, you had some key experience that you got, especially in that SEC championship. I mean, how did the experience you got help you to get to where you are now? What did you learn from kind of that early experience?
The beginning of my career was kind of trial by fire. My first meaningful playing snaps came in the second half of the Iron Bowl with a 4 overtime win. And that was a crazy experience for a redshirt freshman. I mean, I was a third string center going in to the day, and then having to play meaningful snaps. It was crazy. And then, the next week having to go and play Georgia and get my first start at the SEC championship game. That was crazy to me. And, it kind of just proved, it proved to myself that I belonged, that I could play here. But when you go through hard times, you kind of look back on, okay, if I was able to do this, then I can do that again. So it kind of helps you get through the ebbs and flows of the season. Going through practice, you're going against incredible players. So there'll be a week when, they learn something new and you're like, oh my goodness, am I bad at football? And then the next week you get them because you learn something new and you learn how to beat them. So kind of just having those experiences to fall back on and just being able to say, okay, I can do this. It meant a lot.
How much has Jaden Roberts kind of helped you too, having him right next to you? And how strong is he, first of all, and what's he like playing next to you?
I've never seen a weight that Jaden Roberts couldn't pick up. Whatever we put on the bar, it goes down and it goes back up very, very fast. So we might need to get a longer bar for him to put more weight on it to really show us how strong he is, but he's an incredible person. He's incredible. He's a freak of nature with how strong he is. And it's been nice playing next to him because that his one hand is stronger than my two probably. So if he just sticks one hand out there, you get a lot of help from him. So
As someone who goes against him in practice, what have you seen from Tim Keenan from where he was last year to being a major contributor for the defense this year?
yeah, Tim Keenan's probably a guy that I'm one of the proudest of on the team. Last year he didn't get a lot of playing time, and he was going through a lot of stuff, and then he really started showing leadership and is a devout Christian, and he started coming into his own, and he's been a huge piece of our defense this year. And I love Tim Keenan. He's one of the best people on the team to talk to, and just to see that all of his hard work starting to pay off. It's been incredible.
Anyone else? Thanks, man.
All right, appreciate y'all.
Raise your hand, Chris, if you got questions, or Ryan in the back.
Hey, Chris, with senior day on Saturday, what does it say to sticking through a program? I know with the transfer portal and NIL, especially at big programs, guys don't play right away, but you seem to have stuck through the process, and it looks like it's going to work out in the long run with the NFL as well.
Yeah, I'm not focused on the NFL right now, but it's been I've had a great career here, and I just strive on just working hard and keeping my head down and letting all of the pieces fall where they fall.
This season with the Raptor package you guys have on defense, how much fun is it, being able to go after quarterbacks like that? And how do you think it's improved over the course of the year?
Yeah, it's very fun when we call the Raptors package to go out there. I don't know what pass rusher in the country that don't like third down. You know, so every time third down comes, we all try to race to the quarterback. So whoever get there first, we try to have a little competition with the outside linebackers and D line of who gets there first, and bragging rights and everything like that.
Right here, Charlie.
Where do you think you've grown the most, maybe physically and mentally, since you got on campus?
I've grown physically and mentally. Especially I got a lot stronger. I've been in the weight room a lot this off season, and especially my mental. I've been going over the plays a lot and looking at little things that I kind of messed up on from previous years.
Down the right here, Nick Kelly. Go ahead, Chase.
A couple weeks ago on his radio show, Nick Saban mentioned that you're kind of a quiet style leader.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that is every bit as effective as a more vocal guy?
Yes, it is. Everybody leads different. Not everybody's going to be that guy that's yelling and everything. I'm more of a quiet leader. I show. I show by my actions. So I do a lot of positive things. Not doing anything negative on the team or anything like that or getting in any trouble. So I just go out there and show guys that what I do, and they can just look at me as a role model. But I do talk sometimes. You know what I'm saying, like I'm not like silent like a robot, but yeah.
Anyone else? Katie?
When Coach Saban was asked about leadership, he mentioned you and some other guys on defense, and one of them was Tim Keenan. Just kind of what kind of growth have you seen out of him this year in the middle of y'all's defense?
Yeah, Tim Keenan has been great this year. He's grown a lot. He knows the plays. He's physical. He's a great leader, and everybody wants to play behind a guy like that.
Coach Saban was in here, and he described how freshmen want to play when they're coming in, but there's a process they have to learn. You went through that. Do you give any advice to the freshmen coming through behind you, whether it be in your position group or not, just about what the process is like here?
Yeah, just take your time, learn the plays. Just because you don't get on the field, that don't mean that you're not good. Just take your time, learn the system, and your time will come.
Terrion has a close relationship with Miss Terry. Is that just something with him, or does she kind of provide advice to all y'all? And do you have a Miss Terry moment that you would like to share?
I mean, she provides advice to everyone. Terrion might got a closer relationship with her than everybody else, but I mean, she's great though. She loves everybody, just as well as Terrion.
Anyone else? Thanks.
I appreciate that.
The recording has stopped.